Let's kill you 1 billion times to make you immortal. A mad scientist was trying to create an elixir that would grant immortality. He had almost succeeded, but something was missing. The formula contained all the ingredients needed to allow a human body to survive indefinitely. But there was one problem. To make this work, he needed a test subject who was willing to die 1 billion times. And so the scientist put an ad in the newspaper. Wanted immortalist. Must be willing to die 1 billion times. Apply within. The next day, hundreds of people showed up. All of them thought they were immortalists. But really, they were all just narcissists. They each believed they were immortal, but none of them were willing to prove it by dying even one time. The scientist was about to give up when he saw one person walk through the door. He had an air of confidence about him that the others lacked. "My name is Scott," he said, stepping forward. "And I believe I am the man you're looking for." The scientist looked him up and down. "Are you immortal?" he asked. "Well, not yet," Scott replied. "But I'm willing to die 1 billion times to become immortal." The scientist smiled. "Then let's begin." Scott was strapped to a table while the scientist prepared his first immortality serum. It was a bright yellow liquid that smelled like chlorine. "Drink this," the scientist instructed. Scott did as he was told and then began to feel the effects. His heart started beating faster and his muscles felt stronger. "What does it do?" he asked. "It makes you invincible for 5 minutes," the scientist replied. With a wave of his hand, Scott was sent flying through the air. He smashed through the wall and landed in a pile of dirt outside. But after 5 minutes, the effects wore off, and he found himself back in the lab, strapped to the table. "I think I'm starting to get the hang of this," he said with a smile. The scientist nodded. "Very good. Now we just have to repeat this process a few billion times." So the scientist repeated the process, making Scott invincible for 5 minutes at a time. Each time, he would smash through the wall and land outside. But after 5 minutes, he would find himself back in the lab, strapped to the table. This went on for days, weeks, months. The scientist grew older and older, but Scott remained the same age, forever 27. The scientist became so weak that he could barely walk, but he knew that soon he would be finished. He just needed a few more test subjects like Scott to complete his work. Meanwhile, Scott was getting bored. He had smashed through every wall in the lab, and now he was starting to get bored of being invincible. He wanted more. He wanted to be truly immortal. One day, the scientist approached him with a cloudy substance. "This is it," he said. "The final formula. If you take this, you will become immortal." Scott hesitated. "What side effects are we talking about here?" he asked. The scientist shrugged. None that I can think of. But you'll be dead 1,000,000,001 times. Scott took the syringe and injected himself. He felt the cloudy substance spread through his veins, and he knew that this was it. This was true immortality. He looked over at the old scientist and smiled. "Thanks, Doc," he said. And with that, he died. The scientist smiled back. Finally, he whispered as he, too, died. Outside, a new sun rose over the horizon. In the distance, a young woman walked towards the lab. She had an air of confidence about her that set her apart from the others. "My name is Alex," she said, stepping forward. "And I believe I am the woman you're looking for." The scientist looked her up and down. "Are you immortal?" he asked. "Well, not yet," Alex replied. "But I'm willing to die 1,000,000,000 times to become immortal." The scientist smiled. "Then, let's begin. So that's how you die 1,000,000,000 times to become immortal." If you liked this story, check out my other stories about Scott and Alex. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.